front.
Which piece of legislation are they intending to block?
HR1, policing reform.
All right. Hang on here.
Legislation that the House is looking at next.
All right, I just plugged in my headphones. Hopefully this is working correctly.
Addressing
needed
reforms of unions.
Yeah, it looks like at my end.
Moving
that's pretty cool. I
forward,
didn't realize that.
Long overdue.
Anyway,
by Congress is,
so
is
I've
too important to prejudge what the outcome will
I've
be.
missed
And we've
these. I've
certainly
not
seen
covered one
by,
before. And I've
some in
noticed they're
Congress,
beginning
but we're
popular. I
going
was
to
like, well, heck,
continue
if this is what
to
people want to hear, man, let's
see if
do
there's a
this.
bipartisan path
We can have fun, right? We can go through our misery together.
Looking at the filibuster pressing
his policy has not changed. His on that issue, he believes that there is a path forward to work with Democrats and Republicans to get business done for the American people, and he'll continue to make that case.
And secondly, why hasn't the president signed the paperwork to lift raise the refugee cap? The State Department has been booking flights, but has since canceled those.
Well, I would.
What refugees?
Department. I know that they have to have systems in place in order to implement policies like that, but we'll have more details on where things stand.
I don't know is the answer.
HR1 includes some restrictions on so-called dark money, secret money. The president, his allies have just formed an outside group. Will he
his allies
them to make those donors to that group public rather than keeping them secret?
Well, I'm not sure he's in the position to instruct them. That's not the relationship we have, but he certainly can. I would refer you to them.
He's not in a position to do anything.
For making donors public.
Position known, though, right?
And he's spoken to this issue in the past, but I don't have.
And he's spoken to this issue in the past.
Group for any further comment on that. Go ahead, Ashley.
Thanks, Jen.
How about this one? I don't know.
Late changes in the COVID relief bill that could help several states, including Alaska, by increasing funding for lower.
Nobody cares about Alaska. I don't even think it's real. I mean, real. Yeah. Oh, we gotta help Alaska. Do we now? Did y'all hear a beep?
The majority of negotiations at this point are between
I just heard a beep.
senators themselves.
I don't know if I was supposed to or not.
And those are that's where the discussions are. Of course, the president is engaged with members, as you know, who are here sometimes in the Oval Office, who he talks to on the phone. But I'm not going to outline any more particulars.
He talks to Barney on the phone.
The majority of
I love you. You love me. Can I lick you where you pee? What? Huh? What?
A little bit about what the public should expect for the fall when the new school year will start. What the goal is and what the reasonable expectation will be.
Well, we don't have new goals to outline, but I would tell you that now that we have a Secretary of Education in place, his number one priority is.
I believe I have a blue tick coonhound yelling in the background.
Schools have the information they need to put in place the mitigation steps. Obviously, we need the money from the American Rescue Plan to get that done in certain communities. But our objective is for schools to certainly be open.
Fair? Is it a reasonable expectation for families to expect that kids will be back in a more traditional classroom setting 5 days a week for the next grade in the fall?
Well, that certainly is our hope and our objective. But the Secretary of Education is going to be leading this effort. He's going to have a summit he's announced. He's going to be working closely to help school districts work with them to implement these guidelines that have been put out by the CDC. And so I expect he'll have more to say on it.
Lastly, how quickly does President Biden plan to move to name a replacement for Neera Tanden?
I don't expect to have an announcement this week.
For who?
Beyond that, I don't have anything to preview for you. I would say our focus right now is on getting the nearly half a dozen cabinet nominees, including our nominee to be the Attorney General of the United States, through Congress, because those are essential roles we need to have in place leading these departments. As you know, he's nominated an incredibly qualified and well-respected woman, Shalanda Young, to be the deputy at OMB, and we're certainly hopeful Congress will move forward on that, and then she would be in a place to be the acting head while we go through the process of nominating a replacement for Neera.
What? Nominate the
administration planning to ask
non-active
to assist with the
to be the active until we nominate the active? Is that what she just said?
Does that mean that you consider it an actual genuine emergency?
Well, I would say that's probably a question for the Department of Homeland Security, who obviously oversees that, and the Department of Health and Human Services, who oversees the facilities and the shelters where these kids are. Certainly one of our concerns is that there
Y'all see closed captioning over there?
You know, as we were talking about earlier, an influx of kids at a rate.
I don't see closed captioning on my end. It's supposed to be on.
Require us to make considerations about where we're going to safely house them. And that is something that is under discussion in the administration. But I don't have any, I would just send you to them, who oversee the Department of Homeland Security, oversees the process.
And in the current stimulus proposal, the child tax credit is expanded temporarily from $2,000 to $3,000. Could the president support making that expansion permanent, or any of the other temporary expansions in the bill permanent?
Well, the president is interested in exploring options for making the child tax credit permanent as part of the Build Back Better agenda. He's been heartened to see bipartisan support for ideas like this, including from Republicans like Senator Romney. But we'll have more to say about all of that once we get the rescue plan passed.
And just one more. The president has traveled back to Wilmington a couple of times since taking office. The CDC does still urge people not to travel for personal reasons. Obviously, presidential travel is very different than commercial travel, but should the president be doing more to set an example about personal travel during the pandemic?
Well,
Should the president be doing? What stupid ass question is that?
That's where he's lived for many, many years. And as you know, as any president of the United States does, he takes a private airplane called Air Force One to travel there. That is, of course, a unique.
I have a problem with she said that.
Most Americans, but I think most Americans would also see that as a unique circumstance.
What?
Go ahead.
You didn't answer the question. All you did was brag about your plane.
Families sent a letter to President Biden this week, and they're asking that that he declassify FBI documents that talk about the Saudi link to the September 11th terror attacks.
Ah!
Something that President Biden would consider.
I would send you the Department of Justice.
And then another question: 4 years ago,
Department of Justice can't
President Trump announced that he was going to donate the first quarter of his salary.
declassify things.
Wondering, obviously, realizing very different financial circumstances. But
We don't know. We haven't seen his tax returns.
That is true.
I'm not sure.
Oh, that's funny. You haven't seen Trump's tax returns. You're so funny. You're right. He's a vagabond. He's a hobo, a grifter. They did. That's it. They say that Trump is a grifter. Grifter in chief. Hey, at least he isn't a redhead. Ooh, did I say that?
2 weeks away from St.
Sorry, gingers.
I was wondering, what are the White House plans to mark St. Patrick's Day? We do know that the President Biden, is very proud of his Irish heritage, and just wanted to know, do you have any update on the plan for that?
I don't have an update on the specific.
Nobody's
plans.
proud of Irish.
The president has a
We still
special
get pick
place
on them,
in
right?
for, the Irish, as do I, and I expect certainly we'll have more details to share in the coming soon. Given as you said, it's 2 weeks away. Of course, any.
My wife did one of those
recognition
DNA
St. Patrick's
tests
Day will
for
be different, from past years, but we will
ancestry
certainly mark the day,
stuff.
and we'll have more to say on
And it came up that she was Scottish, and her mom had said that like they were like Irish, I think. And she said, my wife says, so what's the difference between Scottish and Irish? Which is true. Nobody knows. I looked at her and I said, Mel Gibson. She was like, which one was he? I said Scottish. She's like, freedom.
In terms of a UK-US
Oh.
two things stand now at the administration. Is the UK-US trade deal a priority for this administration, or are they concerned? President Biden has said before that, and I quote, any trade deal between the US and UK must be contingent upon respect for the Good Friday Agreement in Northern Ireland.
So that certainly
What?
remains
Good Friday
the case.
Agreement.
I will say, since you brought up, and everybody may not be following the suspension of tariffs news this morning, in a joint statement, the United States and the United Kingdom announced a 4-month suspension of tariffs related to the ongoing large civilian aircraft dispute, and the 4-month tariff suspension was agreed to ease the burden on industry and take a bold joint step towards resolving the longest-running dispute, one of the longest-running disputes at the World Trade Organization. And certainly President Biden has been an unequivocal, I should say, in his support for the Good Friday Agreement. This agreement has been the bedrock of peace, stability, and prosperity for all the people of Northern Ireland. We are also welcome cooperation between our British and Irish partners on the Northern Irish Protocol.
Okay, so like Ireland,
on these governments' full
like they're the
Good
biggest
Friday.
bigoted country there's ever been. Let's see. I'm gonna make sure I got the name right here. Like they are so segregated. It's unbelievable.
Very long-running disagreement over Boeing and Airbus.
I don't have anything to preview for you on that. This is just, of course, an announcement made this morning. It was meant to de-escalate the issue and create space for a negotiated settlement to the Airbus and Boeing disputes. But in terms of additional steps, I don't have anything to preview for you.
That's right. Okay, so they called the peace wall, the peace lines. Okay,
Earlier on masks.
and it's
You referenced the president's frustration and
Ireland.
exasperation with people who
and it separates the Protestants from the Catholics. Now think about that.
here.
So we talk about here is like, you know, everyone's all like, oh, cancel culture is all about racism. Or there, it's all about religion. And we're not talking about like religion where you can identify someone easily. We're talking about like, you don't know till they go to church. It is crazy to think about this. And they have these walls like right down through the middle of town.
Saying, folks, here's the deal. If you don't wear your mask, people are going to die because of you. That would certainly get people's attention.
Well noted. I will say the president has been clear that if people wear masks for 100 days, 60,000 lives could be saved. And
Oh,
clearly the
bull.
whole
That's a
PSA won the
lie.
Super Bowl about
You
it,
shouldn't be
about
allowed to say
the
that.
benefit
Prove
and
that.
impact of mask
Oh
wearing.
my gosh.
He also, though, does not believe that people of any state or any American
60,000 lives would be
should
saved.
be,
You know, this whole thing, like, I
provided
want to meet somebody.
guidance
I want to
of
meet
their
one person who
leadership.
says,
And
my
so
life
that's
was
why he's
saved
spoken
because I wore a
directly
mask.
to the American people. We all have, or we all are trying to, about the impact of mask wearing, of social distancing, and of taking the vaccine when people can have access to it. Go ahead.
No, I'm not taking a vaccine.
To the EU and China, what does the president expect from the Europeans in terms of confronting China, which he calls a strategic competitor? And how does the president see the China investment deal which they struck shortly before he took office?
Well, I will say first that in the president's engagements with leaders in the European Union, which were many of his first and early discussions, the relationship with China and working together in partnership and in lockstep was certainly central to all of those discussions. You know, in terms of the
God, she's just
specific,
throwing papers around. She doesn't know what she's even reading. She's not reading anything.
Negotiations, I guess I should say, that was announced shortly before he took office. I believe we spoke to that at the time. I don't think I have anything new to preview or convey to you about that.
Thank you, Jen.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get to one person. Sorry, Alex. Go ahead.
I appreciate it. Two questions.
Where's Ducey? Put Ducey on there.
About, something we're hearing from a lot of Republican senators on some of the nominees at EPA and energy is the idea that they oppose them, not necessarily because of the nominees themselves, but because they believe they'll be taking orders from White House advisors Gina McCarthy, John Kerry. Just wondering if you could respond to that and talk about how the White House envisions their role in relation to the actual Senate confirmed heads of those agencies.
It really depends on the agency. As you well know, some are independent, some are not independent. Obviously, anyone who's a nominee to lead a cabinet agency that is not independent is there in part to deliver on the agenda and the policies of the President of the United States. And they certainly know that when they walk into the jobs. But he also welcomes debate and welcomes proposals and welcomes ideas on how to address the various crises we're facing, including the climate crisis. So it really depends on who you're speaking to or who you're speaking about. I think the president's feels confident that his nominees across the board are qualified, they're experienced, they're prepared to do the job, and he's eager to have his team in place and hopeful that the Senate moves forward to confirm the remainder of his nominees.
And then if I could also, any White House reaction to Microsoft and this hack that they're talking about, is the president taking any steps, being kept up to date, being briefed on this?
Microsoft
I'd have
hack.
to talk to our cyber team about that and see if there have been any updates or briefings on our end.
Hey, I want to watch Joe Biden tweet. I want to see him on his phone. I want to see his phone. I want to see what kind of phone he has. I want to see him tweet.
Democratic leadership. Why has the administration not just gone ahead and nominated her to be the official director?
Well, the president.
There you go. I asked this question earlier.
Nominated her to be the deputy director of OMB, which is a very senior and significant job and role in the administration. All I was conveying is how the process works. If when the deputy is confirmed, knock on wood, they will then become the acting director. Hence, there is a need and an imperative to move forward on that quickly. I will reserve his space for him making his own decision about who is going to lead the budget department. We certainly know there's lots of support on Capitol Hill. And again, he thinks so highly of her. He nominated her to serve in a
Oh, this is that one chick.
So highly of her. I guess why is the obvious next step not just to appoint her to that top position?
Well, actually, there's a range of individuals in the country who are qualified for the job.
A range of individuals
We'll leave him
in-
the space and time to make a decision about who he'd like to nominate as a replacement. For
I hate her voice.
Okay,
I hate
last
the
one, actually,
monotone.
I'm sorry,
I hate what the press conference has become.
Just a quick follow-up. Did the president directly speak to Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, who's actually said that she's going to extend her?
She did, and I meant to raise that. I'm not aware of a direct conversation between them today. Obviously, the president's view and his support for the mask mandate and encouraging people to wear masks, given the advice of his health and medical experts, is well known. It's something he's raised on calls with governors. Our health and COVID team is raised on calls with governors, but I'm not aware of a direct call between them today.
Do you know if he's talked to any other Republicans who might be flirting with this idea of opening prematurely?
I don't have any other calls to read out for you at this point in time. Thanks so much, everyone.
Oh, did she just end? I just tweeted that we were doing this. Oh, look at her put on her mask. That's not a real mask. She looks like a big bird. Who's this in the yellow? Let's get her back out there. Look at this. This is so childish. Oh, the whole thing's just sad. Just sad. Ugh. All right. Well, that was the White House press conference live with Jen. What do you think? You think you're getting your money's worth? I don't know. She didn't seem that great to me. Anyway, well, listen, enjoy doing this live. Maybe do it some more if you guys like. Thumbs up for me and leave comments. And oh, hey, you know what? You know how you share? You just copy the link and it counts as a share. So do that one for me too. Love you guys. Listen, we'll have some original content here later on. All right. As always, be good to yourself, be good to others, and peace out.